1 year of prosperity, grow grain. If you want 10 years of prosperity, grow trees. If you want 100 years of prosperity, grow people. This was stated by the Chinese proverb, and I believe it is a good representation of growing a community garden together. Hi, I'm Shelley Palmer, and I just finished my freshman year at Iowa State University, majoring in dietetics. I started the Wellman Community Garden in 2012, and it was in the backyard of a city council person. In 2013, we moved to a couple-acre plot, and it is there this year as well. Operating a community garden is rewarding, but takes planning and organization, as well as committed volunteers to make the garden operate smoothly. According to the USDA's People's Garden Initiative, there are a list of items to think about before starting a garden. First, evaluate the need of the community. Are people willing to volunteer in the garden? Also, find a spot where the garden could grow. There needs to be approximately 6 hours of sunlight, and the soil should not be too dry nor wet. And there should be a close water source for the plants to grow well. And finally, decide where the produce will go. At Wellman, we donated the produce to the local food pantry and the senior center for their daily lunches. Jamie Jacob once said, "The best things that can come out of the garden are gifts for other people." After evaluating these items in your community and deciding to start a community garden, it is time to publicize. We, the Wellman Community Garden, advertised in the local newspaper, sent out brochures to all the houses in Wellman, and through the word of mouth. Holding regular community meetings allows volunteers and families to know what is happening in the garden. This allows people to ask questions and learn different ways of gardening from other people. This also gives the chance for them to pay and sign the lease and waiver. I have examples of the lease and waiver that you can take home with you. The Grow Pittsburgh website has a good example of a waiver for the community garden as well. After the paperwork is complete, you can seek interested volunteers to plant seeds and maintain the garden. As John Haywood once said, "Many hands make light work," which is totally true when working in a community garden. Watching and talking to other gardeners is part of the learning process. It is important to keep an open mind when gardening to learn new tricks that work well. The American Community Garden Association encourages group gardening, when experienced gardeners can work with novice gardeners so everyone can learn how to garden. Maintaining constant contact with volunteers is also important so everyone knows what needs to be done. In the Wellman Community Garden, we place a dry erase board in our tool shed so people can ask questions. Providing tools and seeds can be beneficial for the community so novice gardeners don't have to go and purchase their own tools. I've written many letters to seed companies for seed donations, and we have received a lot of new seeds. The tomatoes and peppers are planted earlier so they can get a fresh start. If there are committed volunteers working and growing the fresh produce, the community garden can be very rewarding. The smiles on the people's faces receiving the fresh produce is unforgettable. First decide if the community is interested. Second, publicize. And finally, find the committed volunteers that you need to run your community garden. I hope this gives you a good list of items to consider when starting a garden. The first couple years will be experimental. I will leave you with a final thought. Augusta Carter once said, "You don't have a garden just for yourself. You have it to share."